I can't
And
remember.
yeah.
I actually never got to play the Dreamcast. I'm actually upset with
Oh,
that.
really? Yeah.
I never got to touch the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
I've
Now, I
touched
never
all
owned a
the other
Dreamcast.
three.
Yeah. I've never owned a Dreamcast, but I did play it quite a bit at my cousin's house.
Yeah, no
But
one
yeah.
I knew had the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
My friends that I was. Welcome back to Barv City, episode 97. I'm Eric.
Kevin.
Before we get into this with the Gen 5 of gaming,
Gen 6, you
uh,
mean?
Gen 6, yeah, thank you. I want to do a special shout out to a podcast called Outlaw Talks. I did a little tiny collaboration with them on their channel. Um, be sure to go over there and check them out if you want to. And yeah, I just wanted to, just since they're shouting us out, I wanted to shout them out.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ate a not really that spicy meat stick in one go for them. But I guess let's get into this. You want to start us off on Gen 6?
Yeah. Do you want to do our talk about what you did this weekend first, or you want to just jump right in it?
I'll jump right in because I worked this weekend.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I don't have shit to say for myself.
You had to work. Yeah, that was your exciting weekend.
Yep.
Uh, Besides, well, yesterday anyway. Uh, oh man. But yeah, so Gen 6 gets kicked off by the Sega Dreamcast. So, like I said, if you remember in the last episode, we
Mhm.
talked about how Sega was kind of in the background the entire generation.
Yeah, Gen 5. They
With the
didn't really
Sega,
do much.
yeah, the Sega
Saturn.
Saturn, it was not very successful and not really that many games came out for it. And obviously it was greatly, even if they did have a handful of like good games, like let's say it sold better and more games came out for it, they still would have been greatly overshadowed by the PlayStation alone.
You're gonna
And
make me
you
do it
know,
real quick. You're gonna make me do it. I'm gonna go grammar Nazi. Sold better, not sold better.
did I say sold?
Yep.
Oh, my bad. I didn't even realize I said that. And but yeah, it still would have sold better. Or if it would have sold better. Yeah, it would have still been greatly overshadowed by the PlayStation alone, and of course the 64 probably would have still sold better as
Oh yeah.
well. But um, even though in the end Sega didn't come out on top, things were very different for them in this generation for sure, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
They actually, and for people who don't know, even if they know that if the Dreamcast exists, they may not realize how successful the Dreamcast actually was during the very
I
beginning of this
mean,
generation.
I mean,
It
it was a
sold actually really well.
well. You also
So,
got to think. I mean, the thing I hate about it, it was only lasted 2 years or
yeah.
3 years, but it was ahead of its time. I mean, it was the first
Oh, yeah.
console to include the built-in internet for online play. It featured
Yeah.
arcade hits like Sonic Adventures, Shenmue. I mean, it had a lot of critical acclaim, but for some reason, I don't have it on my pulled up yet. But it was discontinued in 2001.
Yeah. They basically just ran out of money. It was selling good and everything, but it wasn't quite enough still. Of course, they were still kind of financially suffering from the last generation and stuff.
Yeah, true.
And of course, once the PS2 came out, it basically finished choking out like what
Well,
was left of it. So
yeah, I mean, not only that, but if it had lasted another year, it had to have competed with the Xbox, first
yeah.
Xbox, and the GameCube
Yeah, it would have had even more competition. But yeah,
because it
so
had no competition except for the previous generation for
yeah,
2 whole years because PlayStation 2 didn't come out till 2000.
right.
And then the
Yeah.
next year, when it died, is when GameCube and the Xbox came out. So it was already it was getting stacked, and only with three companies coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, the Dreamcast launched in September 9th of 1999,
Hmm.
9999.
Hmm.
That was their advertisement. So, and getting ready to launch for the new millennium. But yeah, and it was like we said, it sold really well. It was doing well, even as a me as a kid. Like I remember being really like thinking that my I guess technically uncle, even though he's only an uncle by marriage at the time, um, he bought a Sega Dreamcast, and I remember when my cousins started playing it, I thought it was like the one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. I remember them playing like Sonic Adventure on there,
Mm-hmm.
and they were playing, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, I believe it was Crazy Taxi and Power Stone. I think they were playing on there, which is like a fighting
I
arena type game,
I can't
and
remember.
yeah.
I actually never got to play the Dreamcast. I'm actually upset with
Oh,
that.
really? Yeah.
I never got to touch the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
I've
Now I
touched
never
all
owned a
the other
Dreamcast.
three.
Yeah. I've never owned a Dreamcast, but I did play it quite a bit at my cousin's house.
Yeah, no
But
one
yeah.
I knew had the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
My friends that I was thought was going to end up getting the Dreamcast because he had this Genesis and he got the Saturn, but
Hmm.
they never got to get their hands on the Dreamcast, so I didn't get access to play it,
Yeah.
which upsets me to this day. I really do kind of want to buy a Dreamcast and just to get to experience it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going. The Dreamcast was actually one of the consoles because I think it was like 6 years ago now, maybe even actually no, like 7 years ago. Actually now, I was starting my sixth generation collection,
Hmm.
and one of the consoles that I was going to buy right after I bought my PS2 was the Dreamcast because I really remember liking it a lot as a kid, and I was pretty excited about it, looking up YouTube videos and stuff about it. And even one of the YouTubers made a comment. They were like, if you like any of these four consoles in this generation, he was like, go out and get them right now because the price of these are only going to continue to go up. And I was just like, and I really should have bought the Dreamcast back then because it was so much cheaper then. And now it's like, I think tripled in price.
Yeah.
And I regret not buying it at that time because now if I were to buy it now, yeah, I would be paying like triple the price.
The
So,
thing is,
but I
like,
did get the couple PS2s and it has gone up like quadruple in price. And I'm
you want to
glad that
talk
I
about
did. Mm,
mad at yourself. This
yeah.
was probably I want to say 2012, 2013, because
Hmm.
Game Exchange started getting real big,
Yeah.
and they had one still factory wrapped. Somebody had sold it in the box. It still
Oh,
had the
really?
actual
Yeah.
wrap on it,
Yeah.
and they were selling it for I think $400.
Yeah.
And I was gonna buy it, but then I got a phone call from a buddy. He needed help, so I just went out. My buddy's like, "I'll come back a few days later and get it." Not there.
Yeah.
I
That
literally
sounds
should
about
have
right.
just bought it and left to my buddies, but I was like, "Oh no, I'll be there. I'll just go help my buddy real quick. He's needing me ASAP. I'll just go do that."
Yeah.
He came back a little too late.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Now,
Uh,
PS2 coming out in the 2000s, in 2000 at the turn of the millennia, was a big hitter. I mean, also, I mean, it was a DVD player. They started doing that built-in DVD player shit.
yeah.
And that was a big staple for a lot of families. I know a friend of mine that's got that their family got that just because their DVD player was messing up and he wanted a game console. Well, they found out that PlayStation 2 could also play DVDs, so they just basically got it for their living room as the whole family unit for their DVDs, gaming, everything.
Yeah.
That's where Sony really hit big. And plus, I mean, it was like what, I think 160 million units,
Yeah, it's
becoming
a
the
lot.
best selling console of all time.
Yeah, it's still the best selling even to this day. Yeah.
I mean, you can't came with eventually got hits like that's where Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, then you got the Final Fantasy X, Shadow of Colossus. We can even go to fighting games, all the Mortal Kombat's on it, Deadly Alliance, the Budokais up to Budokai Tenkaichis.
Yeah.
Um, God, so many games came out on that console.
Yeah,
So many
one
games.
interesting thing, apparently I found out, I think it was like a year ago, I found out apparently Grand Theft Auto 3 was originally planned. Rockstar apparently was actually making it for the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
And but then when the sales continued to drop, and they saw the potential of the PS2, they decided to just continue over with
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation and just make it for the PS. But yeah, all the everything, like all the coding, the software, it was all intended for the Dreamcast, and they just like basically ported it over to the PS2. And I was like, that's interesting. So if the Dreamcast would have lasted just a little bit longer, it actually probably
Yeah.
would have been the first one to get it, and then it would have probably got ported over to the
Mm-hmm.
PS2. So,
Also, I want to also establish this is, I think, one of the longest generations.
oh
Because
gosh, yeah,
because it technically started at the end of 1998 into 1999 with the Dreamcast, technically,
yeah,
but it didn't end until 2013.
yeah. Yeah, the fifth generation was definitely the last one of the shorter ones because generations used to be much, much shorter. And but yeah, the sixth generation came along and changed all that. It was a generation that just refused to die because of how popular it was.
Hmm.
So
I
yeah,
mean, it,
it literally outlasted an entire generation. So
yeah, because I think I'll have to look at it when we get to Gen 7, but I think it overlapped Gen 7.
it did, yeah. It completely outlasted it. Yeah. So but yeah, is
And
yeah, it's one of those
yeah,
generations
and
where I almost don't even know where to like begin because like there's just so
yeah,
many things you can
well,
jump right
like
into.
the next
So,
year after all the plays PS2 coming out, dominating markets with being a all around, your family can watch DVDs on it because DVDs became such a big hit at the turn of the century.
oh yeah,
Uh, and kids can play games, and then you got adult games that started really heavily marketing with adults included, like the Grand Theft Auto. So this is the generation where like later teens started coming back and
yeah.
adults started
Gaming
coming
started
back.
becoming more mature. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Especially in the second half of this generation.
Hmm.
So,
And then you got the next year with the introduction to Microsoft Xbox. It debuted in in the market, and it had
yeah.
it had an internal hard drive.
Oh yeah.
Ethernet port. It was the creation of the Xbox Live Service. Then of course, let's not get me started on Halo.
Oh yeah.
That game took everyone by storm when it came to first person shooters. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I remember when I was in school and I had a friend first start mentioning that game and you could tell that was like
Hmm.
his like
Combat Evolved.
yeah, like the way I talk about like well did and still do talk about like the Jack and Daxter series, like that's the way he talked about Halo. Like he was
Yeah.
obsessed and finally got to play it for myself I think like a year later after that and I
Hmm.
definitely yeah, had a lot of fun with Combat Evolved and Halo 2 as well.
Yeah.
So
And then again, I mean, and
mhm.
Xbox, they came out swinging. I mean, it's the first year they're coming out. So, Sega just lost the battle. Sega's now dying. It's being bought, is doing, deals with Nintendo, getting bought out.
Yeah, they're
It's
finally
coming
going
in.
third party. Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes in swinging. I mean, you get the likes of the GameCube that same year. I mean, that's introduced Smash Brothers Melee. One of my favorite Zeldas, I played it so fucking much, Wind Waker. And
Yeah.
also don't we can't, forget Game Boy Advance with connection cables.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I could do a whole episode on Game Boy Advance. I freaking
God,
love that handheld. Yeah.
dude, I loved it so much. Like, I remember still had it was because at this time it's a little bit sad story. My sister had cancer,
Oh,
and the Game Boy Advance is technically my first personal gaming system.
yeah.
Um, and we would be at the Ronald McDonald House over in Little Rock. And I met another kid whose sibling had cancer, and we were talking about, kind of became friends over that. I had the Spy Kids 3D video game.
Yeah.
It was a platformer game. It was fucking fun. At this time, of course, this is where I met my best friend, that's my roommate, and he'd got me into Dragon Ball and anime. Well, he had the Legacy of Goku games.
Oh God. Yeah.
And I remember the whole we traded the games to play them. and he loved Spy Kids more. So we actually just swapped games.
Jeez, that's a crazy swap.
Yeah, it
Legacy
is
of
a
Goku
crazy
for
swap.
Spy Kids.
And I'm like,
Eh,
yeah. I mean, I'd already beaten the Spy Kids game.
yeah,
So here's Legacy of Goku. And then eventually I get Legacy of Goku 2 later. And of course,
yeah,
that's and I started getting back into Pokemon with Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald.
yeah,
Um, but with Nintendo, I was playing a lot of the Mario Party, Super Smash Bros, Animal Crossing.
yeah,
And I think what still helped the PS2 and the Nintendo stay slightly ahead of Xbox, in my opinion, was the invention of Game Shark.
yeah,
Because they even had Game Shark for uh Game Boy Advance. So I mean, this
yeah,
is technically the year of console modding started this generation too
yeah.
with Game Shark. So and you couldn't do that. I don't think there was one for Xbox. If anybody's listening that knows it, if because I didn't have an Xbox, uh, I only knew one person with it, and that was my best friend's neighbor. We'd go over there and we kind of test. That's how I started playing Halo because I didn't
Hmm.
have an Xbox in my household till the 360. But at the time, I was still a PlayStation guy. It was only in the seven, eighth gen that I became a full on Xbox guy.
Yeah,
So, but my uncle had the GameCube and he when he lived with us and he let me play it a lot. So, I have a lot of fond memories with those three consoles.
yeah. I played the GameCube a lot at my other cousin's house, not the same one that had the Dreamcast. That was kind of my experience with the GameCube. And I had a
Yeah.
lot of fun on that one too. I will admit though, when I was a kid slash I guess preteen, I suppose, um, this was actually the first generation where I cared a lot less about what Nintendo was doing other than with the Game Boy Advance console wise, I guess, because I
Yeah.
was always, usually when I was younger, I was always like Nintendo first console. I was like, I want to see what Nintendo's doing first, and then let's see what everyone else is doing. But this was the first generation where I was like, for some strange reason, I just wasn't really that fascinated with the GameCube, and I was a lot more fascinated with the PS2. And I never really played PlayStation all that much back in the, like late 90s.
Well,
Of course some of it's because I was so young, but even when I got a little older, I just never really, as popular as the PlayStation was, it was never
mhm.
a console. I was just like, oh, I gotta have that console.
Well,
But for
like
some reason, when the PS2 came out, I was like, yes, I love this thing. I must have it.
I was in a weird mode in this
Yeah,
era of gaming
yeah,
because I'm still a teenager. I'm still trying to figure myself out who I am.
yeah,
And I started liking GameCube a lot of most because of course with the Zelda the Wind Waker, there's a lot of fun, smooth
mhm,
moments to do, the selling, the playing the music. Um but then there was a game, Harvest Moon.
yeah,
I got into that and I got into the whole concept of farming game, a little bit of farming games, a little venturing, some
yeah,
open, it's open world, and there's the whole relationship system with other characters and to be getting married. And I started thinking that was such a cool mechanic.
yeah.
And very few games on PlayStation or an Xbox at the time did anything like that.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
And also, will have to say, it GameCube is the only console that I love being just a cube because it's literally called GameCube.
Yeah.
And also, I love the mini discs.
Yeah.
The
The reason
that
why they
was
actually did those was because they were hoping that would cut down on pirating. But of course, after like literally less than a year, pirators already figured out how to deal with that problem.
yeah,
But that is why they made the disc small. So,
but it was so cool. I loved it. Like you
yeah.
open the case and there's just tiny discs. But I was more afraid of breaking those ones.
Yeah.
I will admit, even though they were thicker, but
Yeah.
my brain for some reason like because the PlayStation 2 disc and the Xbox discs were actually flimsier because they were bigger and thinner.
Yeah.
But for some reason, my brain associated with tiny to breakable, more breakable. I don't know. Maybe it's
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I
my
could see that.
grandma,
Kind of a
my grand,
psychological thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
because my grandma,
Mm.
my great grandma had those little whatnots, little porcelain whatnots that were really, really fragile. So
Yeah.
my brain associated that with these little tiny discs, even though it was actually more stable, it was smaller, it was thicker.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of still wish that they shrunk discs. I like the
Yeah.
fact of becoming more compact.
Nintendo, for the longest time, always decided they just wanted to be, I guess actually today, they still kind of do it. They always like to be weird with the way they're like, the way
Mm.
the game goes on. Like when
Yeah,
everyone was embracing CDs, they decided to stick with cartridges. It's like, and then finally when they came out with disc, it's got to be tiny disc, you know. The only two consoles they had where it was like a normal size, regular ass looking disc
Wii and
was
Wii
with the
U.
Wii and the Wii U, yeah. And then with the Switch, they went back to cartridge because nowadays cartridges can hold a lot more space, but
Yep.
back then that wasn't the case. So
Dude, if cartridges back then was able, if they were able to put the space they could put in cartridges now back then, they would have
yeah,
never changed. They would
yeah,
have never
I have no
changed.
doubt Nintendo would have definitely stuck with cartridges. Yes.
Also, let's talk about with the PlayStation versus the Xbox because that became the major console war fighting. Because at this point, I think Nintendo has kind of got backed out of it a little bit.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this generation, one thing I will say that before we get into that real quick, I will say this is the only generation actually I can actually say where, I mean, obviously the PS2 is my favorite, but if I wasn't such a fanboy, admittedly, of the PS2, like it's probably the only generation where I almost can't even make up my mind what console is the best one because they're all four like so friggin' amazing. But
Yeah.
it's also, yeah, there wasn't, other than PS2 versus Xbox, and that's mostly just because they shared a lot of the same games. Uh, there wasn't a whole lot of console war going on in
Mm-mm.
this generation. It was kind of like every console was just sort of doing its own thing. So, and there wasn't really too many people that were like, "Oh no, this console is better." At least in my experience. Maybe other people
Yeah.
growing up at
Well,
school,
like
maybe they
the
remember
console
hearing people
wars, I
say.
think heavily just like there was always console wars, but
Because like, yeah,
to what
I'm
we think
sorry.
of console wars today, it
Yeah.
wasn't like that. The console wars was mainly ratings and this and that. They were of course battling the companies would. Fans, yeah, they would have their preferred if you were a Sega and Nintendo after a while. Because I mean, Sega and Nintendo kind of brought the fans into that with their advertisements.
Yeah.
But once you get to this era, I mean, Sega's dying. A lot of Sega people are sad, but a lot of them, I know a lot of people that went from Sega to PlayStation just because they hated Nintendo.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how it is for everyone else because obviously, growing up, people can have different feels and experiences about things when it comes to gaming.
Yeah.
But on my experience growing up during this generation, like it kind of felt like everyone had their own cliques and circles with which ones they liked. You know, they were like the people over here
Mhm.
that, you know, they liked Nintendo, they liked the GameCube, and that was their console. And of course, you always have the rich kids that have like all the stuff. And uh, and then there were people, and maybe not too much Dreamcast by this point, because honestly, by the time like we had all four of them out, I didn't really hear anyone talk about the Dreamcast when I was a kid much anymore.
Mhm.
But then you had people, most of the people sticking with PS2, but I remember when people first started talking about the Xbox, and I didn't know what the hell they were even talking about. I'd never heard of the Xbox at that time,
Xbox.
and they were kept making jokes like, "Oh, have you tried the Xbox yet or seen the Xbox yet?" I was like, "What the hell is that?" You know, and and they're like, "Oh, it's the new console," and I was still like vaguely familiar with what the concept of a console was. I was just like, "What is that? Like a gaming device?" Like I'm a little confused, and and they had to explain it,
Yeah,
and
that's the thing. Like
yeah,
playing, I
yeah, it
played
was
those
weird.
games. They're consoles. I played them, but I didn't know the term console.
Yeah, I when I was a kid, I called them systems. I don't know why I
Yeah,
called them that, but
same.
that's what I called them. And so when they said console, it kind of confused me a little bit. And But yeah, so finally I became more familiar with the Xbox brand, especially in the later years of the sixth generation. And became especially by the time like that Halo like Combat Evolved like started getting a lot more popular and people were
Hmm.
talking about it. That's when I became even
You
more and
started
more
getting
familiar
Halo
with it.
commercials and
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to slowly understand what this thing is, and seeing like the commercials for like the online play with Xbox Live and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Because Xbox, obviously, online play existed, but Xbox like really popularized this concept of playing like online co-op with your friends and stuff like that. And they were the ones that definitely brought this into the mainstream for sure. So,
Oh, also a little side note, Game Boy Advance sold 81 million
oh
copies.
yeah, it was popular. Yeah,
I mean, there was no other handhelds
yeah.
until the PSP,
Nintendo,
which
yeah, Nintendo is always like say what you will about Nintendo's consoles, sometimes they can be a hit or miss with some audiences, and some other
Mhm.
people may feel differently about different ones. But their handhelds, they always seem to just know what they're doing when it comes to handhelds. They always nail it. So,
I mean, that's probably why they switched to just being a handheld console.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
let's just merge our
it's
groups. We know
yeah.
what we're doing over here better.
And every it seems like every time, other than like Sony, they're the only ones that ever got really even close to being as successful. And even that, with most of that was short term. They never really had long term success with it. Uh, but
Yeah, I remember the
anytime
PSP,
another company
but
tries to get into handheld, it just never works out for them like it does with Nintendo.
mhm.
So least not in the long run. So now the PSP was popular, but of course that's more of a seventh generation thing. But it was popular, but like I said, it didn't launch Sony into a long term handheld market really like Nintendo had. So,
That's why they
but
backed out of
anyway,
it after that one.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, um, I know growing up with these consoles that there wasn't a lot of competition because in my, area, because again, I only knew one person with the Xbox, one person with the PS2.
hmm
My uncle had the GameCube and I had a Game Boy Advance. Like there was not a lot of me getting into like social groups of gaming.
yeah.
Um, Most of my gaming was small scale, couple friends, this and that. Most of my competition in this time is not in the competition world of gaming, it's in the competition world of card games. So
Oh, okay, yeah,
this is where I got into my Yu-Gi-Oh competitions.
yeah. I remember when that started getting more and more popular. So
Hmm.
especially at my school. So
Yeah. And of course Beyblade came out in this era. So
yeah.
um
I mean, yeah, this
so
was a time to maybe put that more into a context. It didn't yeah, like like anime, Japanese anime started becoming more mainstream too during this time, uh,
mhm.
and I think that kind of helped carry a lot of this stuff, like what you're talking about with the card games and everything. And yeah, so that's just kind of stuff that was going on
Yeah.
during that time.
Because gaming was
Yeah, I don't
big
remember where I
still.
was going with that, but
Yeah, the
anyway,
console
yeah,
gaming was still big, but there's a lot of people that stopped console gaming this generation as well.
yeah,
That's why the later years started getting more mature and trying to get a older audience, trying to bring the old gamers back.
yeah,
Um, but I mean, it's one of the best years for most of these companies.
yeah.
It's not the best Xbox year, but again, it's their first year.
I personally love the Xbox original. So, but the 360 obviously has a greater library of games, though. I will
Yeah,
say that. So,
yeah.
especially if you like RPGs like me.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I'll talk more about that in the seventh generation. But yeah,
But yeah, this generation, hell, going over the if we were to go over the games of this generation, it would be
the games alone, yeah, you could go
so
on
much.
forever. Yeah, yeah.
I
So
mean,
far, we've mostly talked about the consoles and stuff, but yeah, we hadn't even gotten started on the games really.
yeah, because I mean, you got GT, Grand Theft Auto 3,
Yeah,
Deus Ex, Unreal Tournament 2004, Metroid Prime, Metal Gear
Oh, I
Solid
love
3,
Metroid
Snake
Prime. Yeah.
Eater, Eco. Hell, World of Warcraft for the PC came out this era, so it's
Yep.
it's kind of interesting too.
Yep.
Battlefield 1942, Tekken Tag Tournament, The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Walker, as I've said earlier.
Wind Waker. Yeah.
Yeah, Wind Waker.
Yeah. Funny
Uh,
that Wind Waker is actually a game I didn't even know existed when I was younger. I didn't find out about that game. I knew like Twilight Princess existed, but I didn't know
yeah,
about Wind Waker until I got older. So,
okay. And then you get the Half-Life. I mean, I guess I could just talk about just the console games, but this era had so many good games, consoles, PC. It's kind of hard
oh
not to
my
talk about
gosh.
them all. So I mean,
Yeah.
you get Half-Life 2, uh, Civilization 3, because the Civilizations games started getting picked up. Resident Evil 4, because yeah, we forgot to talk about Resident
Mhm.
Evils in the last gen.
Yeah, that's true. We did. Yeah.
Oh, Resident Evil for me is an entire episode. I love the Resident
Yeah.
Evil world.
For people who don't know, I'm not like really into horror games, but I do know that Resident Evil games are like a huge deal. Yeah. So,
Hmm. Both Max Payne games came out in this era.
yeah.
Shadow of the Colossus, which is still still some of
Hmm.
like, one of
It's still
my
considered
favorites.
one of the greatest games of all time. Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of people have it in their top 10. Yeah.
Wario Inc. Mega Micro Game. Did you ever play
Yeah.
that?
No, I haven't, but I do know what it is. I've seen gameplay on YouTube of it.
I love it. Then and let's not talk about the big one later, especially within that for PlayStation, the God of War 1 and 2.
Oh gosh, yeah. God of War is another game series I didn't get into until I was an adult. I went back and played that.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of games that, because of the fact that there were so many amazing games on the PS2 alone, like there were so many series I never really got around to when I was younger. I kind of just, for lack of a better way of saying it, I kind of just ran out of time. I only had so much free time. And so finally going
Yeah.
back to some of the game series as an adult was a lot of fun, and God of War series was one of them. And man, was I
Mm-hmm.
glad that I did, because it's so much fun even to this day. So,
Mm-hmm.
so
They've got Wario Land 4.
yep, I love the Wario Land games. Maybe even debatably better than the Mario Land games. So maybe depending on who you
I
talk
don't
to. So,
remember. I never played them because I got
oh,
out of
okay, yeah.
Mario stuff. So
It doesn't play like Mario really. It's very different. It's kind of like if you took Mario, but made him like a powerhouse character, more like action based. It's a lot of fun in my opinion. So
okay.
yeah,
Speaking of action, Hitman,
yeah. Oh yeah, I remember when
Hitman
Hitman
2,
became a
Silent
big deal. Yeah,
Assassin.
my sister was like, that was like her the game that she was like all excited about when it first came out was Hitman.
Hmm.
She's like, I really want that game, and I was like, really? I didn't know much about it at the time. And then finally, I learned more and more about it as it was getting closer to launch. But yeah, Hitman. So. Mm.
Yep. Another game that I could make an entire fucking episode, just me by myself talking about it. Star Wars: The Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Oh my gosh. That was another game I had to go back and play, and man, was I
Mm.
glad that I did.
Mm.
But both the first and second one are amazing in my
Yes.
opinion. So, of
And I do love Star
course,
Wars: The Old
yeah.
Republic online game. Still feels
Hmm.
like that kind of feeling.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Of course, ironically, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much if I played it when I was younger because I wasn't really into
yeah.
RPGs. But yeah. So,
Well, the thing is, like, this honestly is the era for really heavily for Star Wars games for me.
hmm.
Like, there's still good ones today, but
Yeah, you got
less.
Battlefront 2. I remember when Battlefront 2 was coming out, everybody at school was like losing their shit. I
Oh,
remember
don't
like they
even,
could not wait to play that fucking
yeah,
game. So,
don't forget Republic Commando.
yeah.
Like,
This was definitely I mean, first person shooters were already popular in the fifth generation, but they definitely, because of games like Quake,
Halo.
Halo, And of course, military shooters were first starting to become
Hmm.
popular too, like with COD and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, we're definitely, of course, once we get to the seventh generation, they become like the main genre to play. But during this generation, they were definitely getting more and more
Yeah.
popular. You could tell. So,
And then we got also this is also where I got into war games in a sense, but I didn't get into like COD yet. That's the next gen
mhm.
where I got into COD. But like
Yep,
Rome Total War.
yep.
I was into period pieces or fantasy like Star Wars.
Yeah,
Um the Thief Deadly Shadows. Did you ever play that one?
I never did, no, but I've seen gameplay on YouTube. Yeah. So,
It was apparent. I mean, they call it a bad thief game, but I loved it. I don't
oh,
know why.
really?
I just
Hmm.
loved it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then you got Serious Sam, the first encounter.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, another series I could talk about. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's
Oh
Requiem.
gosh, yeah. So, Eternal Darkness. Yeah.
Return to Castle Wolfenstein or Steen, however you want to say it,
I say Stein, but yeah, you could say
because
Steen, I
German
guess.
is Stein.
Yeah.
We also got a lot. This is again, RPG styles or action adventures, really, especially in period pieces. Like, we got Way of the Samurai,
Yeah.
Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time,
Oh my
like
gosh, yeah.
Panzer Dragoon Orta.
Hmm.
It was really fucking good. Like, there's some really,
There were a lot
really
of
good
series
games.
where this generation kind of introduced me to them because this was the generation where the series switched over to like to 3D, like
Hmm.
Prince of Persia. They
Or
finally switched to
Castlevania: Circle of the
3D,
Moon.
Castlevania, Grand Theft Auto, like some of these series I had never heard of before until
Hmm.
this generation because they went to 3D and then I finally, they got so popular I finally heard of,
Yeah.
the
Because I mean, when you're talking about like shooting games and military games, you
yeah.
get Command and Conquer Generals, Counter Strike Source.
Yeah.
Then something that came about that was not expected from Capcom, at least for me, looking back at how their games worked, Devil May Cry.
Oh my gosh, that was another series I had to go back and play. I always wanted
Mm-hmm.
to, but never got around to playing it. And
Dude,
yeah,
and
again, very glad that I did too.
oh, I
So
love the Devil May Cry series. I love it. I love almost everything about Devil May Cry.
yeah, I mentioned in
Um,
the last episode that a lot of fifth generation games haven't aged very well for me, but it's amazing how well a lot of these games in the sixth generation have aged so much better. Like I mentioned before, I was like, oh, I
and
had to go
there's
back and play
and
this
they're
one. I had to go back and
so
play this
easy to
one.
remaster, and they've been
Yeah,
so easy to really remaster. You see them all the time getting remastered, and they look gorgeous.
yeah, there's so many games that like when I went back and played, obviously I have no nostalgia for them, because I didn't play them when I was younger.
Hmm.
But yet I still enjoyed the crap out of them. They were still so much fun to play. I don't think I could say the same thing about a lot of fifth gen games that I grew up playing.
Mm-mm.
If I would have
No.
played them for the first time, like now as an adult, I would have been
Hmm.
like, yeah, I could see why it was good for its time, but yeah.
Yeah, I've
But
done that too.
but in the sixth gen, it's like I'm playing them. I'm like, yes, this game's freaking
Like
awesome. Why did I never play
I
this when I was
I
younger?
have
So
to start doing it because with Xbox, they're bringing them out, but I have to replay the pixel remasters of the earlier Final Fantasies.
oh yeah, yeah. I'm currently still finishing those up. I'm almost done with five, and then I'm about to start six, and I'll be
Yeah,
done
I
with those.
once I get through a few of my games that I'm currently doing, I'm gonna end up having to work on that. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to.
yeah, they're a lot of fun. Of course, they add some new like quality of life features into them to make them more
Hmm.
modern. Which makes it even more fun to play.
But
So,
another game that I mean, and it started on a PC and it got bigger and bigger, the 8-bit era, and into the 3D era. And it's the Doom games. You kept Doom 3 coming out in this era.
hmm Doom 3, like it's sort of a split opinion game, but even though I don't even really like horror games, I actually love Doom 3. It's one of those few exceptions
Well,
for me.
also
So,
Doom started this whole Devil May Cry and Doom started this whole new mechanic of the music getting better the more you combo.
hmm yeah,
So like you get it, you start getting spurred on, you're hitting these combos, the music's building, you're like, and it just keeps this fucking train alive.
yeah.
It's very hype, just killing demon games.
Yeah. Yeah, some people didn't like the switch of Doom 3 becoming a lot more horror like and less like rip and tear action like. But
Oh, but it's
you
still,
know,
even with the horror aspect, it still was so rip and tear, in my opinion. Like, I mean, hell,
yeah,
the
it
Doom
is.
games
But
now are just brutal.
yeah, well, Doom kind of went back to its roots in
But it
2016, but yeah.
stayed, well, even in 2016, they still kept that horror aspect.
Really?
Yeah, it still has moments where the fucking you walk like one of them you're in a broken down building and the demons just come out of nowhere, dude.
Hmm.
Like
Okay.
I've been jump scared, but then at the same time, I'm like, no, wait, I'm doomed. Fuck you.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, that's also Doom 3 is also where they made the Doom movie from, in a sense, though. And it was
Yeah.
more heavy in the horror in Doom 3, less of the rip and tear. But now I think they're trying to get more of a balance with story, dark grittiness, rip and tear.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a generation where they were making a lot of game to movie ports because it used to always be more,
Yeah.
it's always typically the other way around, movie to game. But this was the first generation where games were getting so popular and now they were making movies out of games. So, of
Yep.
course, nowadays they still do that, but with series instead, they'll make series out of games. So,
Yep. And the next one is my second favorite Final Fantasy game ever. If you talk, I don't give a fuck who you are. You can lick both my fucking testicles and my taint and my asshole.
okay, that's getting gross.
But I'm that serious. I don't like its next version, but I do love this one, and that's Final Fantasy X.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, I feel like most people put 10 as like in their top five
I've
typically.
had
Yeah, of Final
arguments with people
Fantasy.
over 10. I've had a couple arguments with
Really?
people over 10. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know why someone was trying to tell me it's kind of a light-hearted Final Fantasy VII ripoff.
Really? I don't get that vibe from 10 at all. Yeah.
I don't either. It's this whole
Yeah.
fucking thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am very protective of this game. I am protective
Yeah.
of
Most
Final
of the
Fantasy
time when if I
VII.
watch like a top 10 of Final Fantasy, usually 10 is typically up there in most people's.
Yeah, I am
So
highly
that
protective of this
surprises
game.
me that they argued with you about that one. But maybe it was different versus then versus now. I don't know. So
Yeah, maybe that's another thing I'll hit on real quick. A lot of things people hated in the 2000s and up in the early 2010s, they now are like with remakes of stuff or new versions of it or continuations like, I want the old stuff back. But you fucking hated it then, you bitch.
yeah, they appreciate it more now. Yeah. Me,
I'm
I'm
looking at
like
you
I'm
fucking
in both
prequel
camps. I
haters.
loved it then and I love it now, you know. So
Yeah. I'm over here looking at these prequel haters.
prequel haters for what?
Star Wars.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm not a big fan of the prequels either.
Well, no, like everyone was talking crap about Hayden Christensen, and now they want Hayden Christensen back on everything.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll give you Hayden Christian. I never had a problem with him, but yeah. So that wasn't the reason why I didn't enjoy those movies. Yeah, or as much
Yeah.
anyway. So
So like, and that's they're doing that with everything, and just go fuck yourself.
yeah,
Of course, we already talked about Combat Evolved for Halo.
yep,
We already talked about the Hitman. Also, I'm gonna hold it here. I'm gonna let you talk on it because the next one on my list, Jack and Dexter, the Precursor Legacy.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I could. Yeah, just to put things in context for people, I used to literally have a podcast, a solo podcast, completely dedicated to the Jack and Daxter series. So eventually it came to an end because I was working on other projects, so I just didn't really have enough time to do it anymore.
Yeah,
But
if you
yeah,
haven't
I
caught to some of
rem
our other episodes, we've done a top on gaming, and there's a long section.
yeah, and Jack 3 was at my number one, and yeah, Jack 3 is still, even to this day, is still my favorite video game of all time. I freaking love Jack
Yeah.
3. But Jack and Daxter is very close behind it. Like if I could do a top 20, it would be up in there somewhere. I don't know exactly where it would land, but it'd be in there. Yeah, I remember the first time I played Jack and Daxter was we actually were it was sort of a weird situation. My sister at the time, she was dating somebody who owned a PS2. and he borrowed some money from my mom, and him and her came to an agreement that to make sure that he paid her back, that he would let us have his PS2 until he paid her back, and then as soon as he paid her back, we'd just give the PS2 back to him. And so that was sort of my introduction to the PS2 was playing on his. It was the fat version, and he had so many games too. Final Fantasy X was actually one of them, and there were some games my mom went through first because she didn't want us playing because we were still kind of young at the time. Because one of them I saw that she pulled out was Grand Theft Auto 3, and that was one I really wanted to play, but I was like, crap, she pulled that one out, and so I didn't get to play that one until a little bit later. But one of them was Jak and Daxter, and Jak and Daxter for me personally was probably the first game that I can truly say felt like an actual open world game.
Yeah.
There were many games before it where I felt like it was getting close. I was like, "Ooh, this is definitely the kind of game I want to play." Like I talked about in the last episode with Super Mario 64, how I loved running around the castle.
Yep.
And there were other games like that too, where I played them like sort of incorrectly because I wanted to explore more. But the game wasn't
Jak
quite
and
where I
Dexter.
wanted.
Oh.
But Jak and Daxter was the first game I played. I was like, yes, this is like definitely like the game I've been wanting like my whole life, but
The
I didn't even realize I wanted it.
the
So
the the icing that I will put on this for me with Jak and Dexter. The amount of times that I have died in that game just because I'm like, hey, that looks like I should be able to jump over there. Hmm.
yeah.
Whip. Ah, fuck. Because again, we were both in that, playing it wrong, exploring, and it looked like there's a section I should be able to jump on. So I go to try and jump, invisible
Excuse me.
wall, straight down to death. I go.
Yeah.
Um, you think I would learn, but I never did. But the next one, Mario and Luigi's Superstar Saga.
Saga, yeah, Superstar. Oh my God, yeah, that was Superstar Saga for the
Never
Game Boy
played it for
Advance.
me.
Yeah, this was sort of my gateway game for RPG. Well, particularly with turn-based RPGs. So because I eventually hit a point where I finally started giving in a little bit more with RPGs, and I was like, well, I like them if they're action RPGs, but I don't like turn-based RPGs, is what I would say. This game changed all that for me. It was like I didn't play it until I was a little bit older, but it was like my gateway game into turn-based RPGs. After that, I fully
Mm,
embraced like Final Fantasy, the classic Final Fantasy games, and Final Fantasy X, because that was one of the reasons why I couldn't get into 10 at the time because I didn't like the fact that it was turn-based. And but yeah, I started embracing a lot more like JRPGs and stuff like that largely because of this game. Now, this game is technically an action turn-based RPG where it has the timing button
yeah.
elements, and it was so much fun to play. So and this was, yeah, I literally sunk like hours and hours into this game. I remember when I was at school and I would torture my friends, never shutting up about this game because I wanted to talk about it all the time. I did that with a lot of games, but this was one of them. So,
Yeah. This era for me, like the console situation, it spoke for itself. They were already made major hits, but the games is where it was at in this generation.
yeah,
There were so many games, and it helped this generation lasted so long of this type of era of this type of gaming. So I mean, it built a lot. Like there's all these foundations been built. If we talk about the other ones, as foundation is a house. The foundations, the walls. This is realistically, honestly, the doors. This generation opened so many doors to so many different styles of gaming
yeah,
because this is where RPGs started picking up even heavier. You got the first person shooters coming in heavier, even fighting games that had been arcade games for years are getting new limelights and new sequels and all this stuff. And it's because the disc held so much information.
hmm
Um, and again, like something I wanted, I definitely have on this list to point out is another game that I played. And I was like you, I played it when I was a little older
hmm
on the PS2 Slim because I had the Slim when I finally got the PS2. And that was and it was and I it threw me off that it is Lucas Arts game,
Oh
Star
yeah,
Wars.
yeah.
And it's a mercenaries playground of destruction.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Yeah,
What
you
is the
had
game?
three. It's so you have three characters that you can play
Mm-hmm.
as. And of course, it's a two-player game, it's PlayStation. I think it but it was literally just you do mercenary jobs. You're
Oh, okay.
mercenaries and you go here. It's basically a war game that was an RPG style, action RPG, developed by LucasArts, and it was just kind of think of Army of Two.
Yeah,
It's kind of one of those style games, kind of like with the Metal Gear Solid. But you had three different characters that did typically different styles.
yeah,
And it was interesting that Star Wars Star Wars company was building a typical just normal mercenary game. Like you'd expect
yeah.
them to do more stuff with, like, if they were to do mercenaries, they do bounty hunters. They already did a bounty hunter game, I guess, with Boba Fett, but like, and Django. But like, I don't know. I mean, it was a really good game. I got into it for a little bit. Of course, it didn't last long because I got into other stuff. Of course, teenager
Yeah.
didn't.
There were a lot of game series where I was really into them, but and I wanted to play more of them, but there were just so many other games
Yeah.
that kind of would distract me from those games. That happened a lot to me in this generation.
Also, by the time
So,
I played it, I was almost out of high school,
yeah.
and I had gotten into girls and driving truck around, camping, doing this stupid shit buddies and all this. So,
Yeah.
honestly, me going back to it, I'm glad I did because it was a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of a bad time to actually get into gaming again for me, to visit old games.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Yeah, I could
it's
see
a good
that.
time for me to visit old games because, but I mean, again, I mentioned it was like Metal Gear Solid. So we have Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty.
Yeah. The
Uh,
Metal Gear Solid games. Yep.
mhm. Then we have Metroid Zero Mission.
Yeah.
I like, dude, I don't know if you were, any around anybody, but when they actually finally revealed that Metroid was a girl,
Oh, yeah.
people's reactions to that.
Yeah.
Oh, I still chuckle today. I laugh.
Yeah.
And I know a game that you've recently got into that came out this era. You want to know what it is?
Yeah. I don't know what.
The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Elder Scrolls 3, yeah. That was when I bought my Xbox original like 6 years ago, I think it was.
Mhm.
The first game I bought was Morrowind because I had just started getting into the Elder Scrolls games, and it was actually the first Elder Scrolls game I actually sat down and played more thoroughly because I had dabbled into Arena and Daggerfall a little bit, but I didn't really play either one of them all that much. But Morrowind was the first one I actually sat down and played like thoroughly, like created a more proper character and role played a little bit more. And man, oh man, did I have a lot of fun playing that game. For like I'd probably say a good solid 2 years before nowadays, admittedly, I've kind of changed my mind about Morrowind. It hasn't aged as well for me in the last like 2.5, 3 years. So,
Even with the
but
remastered?
the remastered.
Yeah, they remastered it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I remember correctly, they remastered it. Like they did
Uh,
Oblivion.
Oh, I didn't know that. No, I hadn't
Yep.
played the remastered version. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you might have
my
to
biggest
fact check
problem
me,
with. Oh, okay.
but I believe they remastered it and Oblivion. They both remastered both of those.
Yeah. Admittedly, some of my problems with Morrowind would be fixed with a lot of mods that exist. Because one of my biggest problems is the world just feels so dang static to me, which I don't really like. And after playing like Oblivion's, particularly Oblivion and Daggerfall, those two really helped change my opinion about Morrowind because those games are so much more dynamic. and
Yeah.
all the NPCs just kind of wait around for you to interact with them. The stores just stay open 24/7, and I don't really like that a lot about that game. It didn't bother me at all when I first played it, but like after playing those two, it really morphed my opinion. But like I said, there are
One
mods that fix a lot of that stuff.
yeah, one thing I wish they did that they did in Morrowind that I wish they continued.
Hmm.
And it's such a simple thing and they could have done it. I get why they don't. I don't, I guess like whatever. But I wish Argonians and the Khajiit's feet would stay the same and couldn't wear the boots.
Oh, okay.
Because they just gave them regular human legs and feet. And I'm like, it kind of looks weird.
Yeah.
After playing Morrowind and you see how their feet were, they were actually reptilian and feline. I'm like, I like that. That's kind of a cool aspect because you don't really see that much. And then they got rid of it in the next two.
Yeah. One of the things about Morrowind, you can tell Bethesda was trying to be as weird as possible with that game. They wanted
Mm,
it to feel very alien. And they sort of, yeah, I guess with stuff like changes like that, they sort of ditched that idea a little bit with Oblivion. They went back to being a bit more vanilla world wise. I mean, not with everything, but with some
yeah.
little changes like that. So,
I would, I wish they kept it. I mean, yeah, again, as you said, spoke earlier, mods can help that, but like,
yeah.
it's a touch that
But
was
we're
kind of
talking about the
cool.
vanilla experience right
Yeah.
now. Yeah. Those mods didn't come out until like way later.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But the next game I have on the list is, of course, I mentioned quickly earlier, which is Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance.
Oh, yeah.
God, one of my absolute favorite Mortal Kombat games. A lot of people don't like it because I think this is the game that Liu Kang dies. Yeah,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
Liu Kang's
Okay.
death because Quan Chi and Shang Tsung kills him. But it has such a great fucking song for Scorpion. Oh, you can't kill me. I'm immortal. The game had the music video that the band did for this song on it. And because also you get the Crip stuff. I mean, I love Deadly Alliance, and I love that they were actually uh, keep continuing on the whole. Because I don't like where Mortal Kombat did now, where characters aren't staying dead.
Yeah.
I liked it when they died storyline wise, and they stayed dead in the next game
Oh, okay.
because they killed off Johnny early on, and eventually they brought him back, which is kind of
Yeah. I mean, I get why they did it, but yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
yeah. But I mean, I love it. It's one of my favorite Mortal Kombat games to this day. I would replay it because with how the luckily thing about Mortal Kombat with fighting games like that, the graphics don't matter as much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I played the shit out of it.
Yeah,
God.
this is an example in my I used to only say this about the PS2, but in all honesty, this is true in my opinion kind of for all four consoles, really. This is the generation where like no matter what genre you're into, like those games exist in this generation and not just because any generation like yeah we got fighting games, yeah we got sports games, yeah we got RPGs, but like are they any good though? Like but with this generation,
Hmm.
like they got them and a bunch of them and they're all like really freaking good too. Like this is like
Yeah.
in my opinion, this is a little biased, but in my opinion this is the only generation I feel like you could say that about. Like you like sports games, amazing games, you like
Hmm.
RPGs, you like
Well,
fighting
because
games. Some of the best fighting games of all
yeah.
time have come out in this generation.
Well, because like the next one on my list is a sports game, and it's something that I would love that they were doing
Yeah.
because like they were doing it with football, basketball, and they were
Hmm.
doing this whole
The extreme thing.
yeah, like NBA
Yeah.
Street. It's NBA
Yeah.
Street.
For people who didn't grow up in the early 2000s, the early 2000s was known for making everything on steroids during that time. It's like, oh, let's take basketball and make it extreme. Let's take football and make it extreme.
Oh
Same
yeah,
thing with gaming. They extremed everything. So
and I loved it. Like it gave because like I didn't really like sports game, but you get something like I think it's the Blitz, the football game, where you
mhm.
could actually like take out players. You could hit them just right and snap a kneecap and X-ray it. You could pump, you could rupture their testicles, and it would show the testicles exploding, like
Oh
all
my
straight
God.
Mortal Kombat style. Like, and I
Yeah.
fucking loved it. I hated
Yeah.
going against my uncle because he was too fucking good at almost killing my fucking players. Dude, almost
Yeah.
every hit, he knew just how to do it to rupture something, put one of my players out. Like, he knew how to fucking do it, and it pissed me off. That's the problem with
Yeah.
having an uncle that was gaming. But yeah, and like there's so many good games. Soul Calibur 2, Ultra Key, The
Hmm.
Myth of Demons, SSX Tricky, it's another little sports game. Yeah, it
Yeah.
had Thief 2, The Metal Age. Um just so many good games. Hell, Legend of Zelda, The Minish Cap,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Uplink Hacker Elite. It's just this was the year that gaming they did it right this time. Like, we talk about between Gen 1 and Gen 2 that when it almost killed itself with the consoles and the games.
Yeah.
This time it worked out. They did it right. They learned from that mistake. They had an abundance of games. There was some like, I don't know why they made that game, but there's only again 4 consoles that went down to 3 consoles with one handheld and so many games to play, so many different types of games, but they made stuff in every single person's what they would typically like. If you didn't like this game, wow, there's like 20 over here that you play the fuck out of probably.
Yeah.
This is the era where game making companies, not just console companies, but these third party companies are starting to build up and making a lot of good games like Bethesda and Lucas Arts and
Yeah.
like
Rockstar. Yeah.
yeah, they were
Hmm.
heavily wording their games. They were building up. And I mean, nowadays you still have that, but a lot of these companies are getting bought out by the console companies, so it's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
era
This was
had,
still a generation where a lot of game companies still had
mm-hmm,
control, mostly control of their own games still. So
yeah, and spin on the
Naughty
contract they
Dog.
signed, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Insomniac Games. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Still very like some of the greatest companies like coming make dishing out just amazing game after amazing game during this generation.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're about out of time. There's still so much crap I want to talk about. We'll probably have to do a part two like we
yeah.
did with Gen
Well,
5. So,
because I mean, there's stuff we have to talk about later in this generation with between the
yeah.
PS2, the PlayStation Slim. So much shit.
And there's still tons of games I'd like to mention too,
God,
and
so
even
many
some
games.
features for some of these consoles we didn't even have enough time to get into. So,
Yeah, I
but
wanted
yeah.
to do a quick like this on this is just, but comment down below in this generation, what was your favorite game? Which one of the 4 consoles you loved the most? Also comment down below. Do you wish Sega kept continuing, was able to continue? I guess, because it kind of sucks they died in this era. If they would have made it through one more era, they would have been good.
Yeah.
But I digress. Things happen. And with that being said, we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Welcome to the city where chaos thrives. Kevin and Eric keep peeping alive. Random talks and stories collide. Bar City Anthem, let's take a ride. Bar City, the place to be. Laughs and madness, wild and free. Tune in now, let the good vibes flow. Bar City, your favorite show. Guitar strumming since ignite. Jokes and banter, morning or night. From the weird to the totally bizarre. Bar City legends shining like a star. Bar City, the place to be. Laughs and madness, wild and free. Tune in now, let the good vibes flow. Bar City, your favorite show. West, wild and free. Tune in now, let the good vibes flow. Bar City, your favorite show. Eric drops a pun, Kevin rolls it.